Welcome to Vacation Station, hosted by Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazines.com.
You're listening to Big Blend Radio's Vacation Station Parks and Travel Show with Nancy Reed and Lisa Smith. We are the crazy mother-daughter travel team and publishers of the digital interactive Big Blend Radio and TV magazine and Parks and Travel magazine. And you can see them both at BigBlendMagazines.com. And of course, we travel full-time on our Love Your Parks tour. And we're very excited because today's guest has been to one of our, most famous parks in the country, and a park that Nancy and I have spent a lot of time in. And her name is Linda Ballou. And Linda has been on our show before, and she was on our show a few months ago talking about her book, Lost Angel in Paradise, Outdoor Days from LA to the Lost Coast of California. This time, she went for outdoor days from LA to the woods of California. She went to Yosemite National Park. So we're very excited to chat with her about this. She's got an article up on our website, nationalparktraveling.com. The article will be in our November issue of Parks and Travel magazine. We're excited to have Linda as one of our travel contributors. She loves nature and she loves to get out in parks like we do. And very excited because she also recognizes Yosemite as a park that is for all seasons. Something we learned about going in Yosemite in summer. In the middle of summer, it's like, okay, if that's the only time you can do it, do it. But Yosemite is beautiful year-round, so we're very excited to have her on the show today. So welcome back, Linda. How are you?
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, I really am looking forward to sharing my experiences in Yosemite. It seemed everyone I knew had been there except me.
Oh, wow.
Living in California, it's a 5-hour drive from LA, and it's a 4-hour drive from San Francisco. So, Californians, everyone I know, had been to Yosemite. When they were a kid or. So I just, in the last year, have been, my bucket list is including the national parks. So I went to Bryce and Zion in the spring, and then Yosemite here just after Labor Day. And no matter what time of year you go there, you're going to be dealing with some crowds. So one of the things that I would really say, and it's a very international crowd. My God, every language in the book, I was like Japanese and German and French and Italiano. I mean, every language you can imagine, I could hear on the shuttle bus.
Yeah.
Because in the Yosemite Valley floor, which is where the main attractions are, it's very busy. It's like a beehive. And so they have established a shuttle system, which is wonderful. So when you first enter the park in the valley, the thing to do is park your car in one of the various parking lots and make use of the shuttle system because it's really fun. It's very organized. The drivers are super helpful and will, tell you if this isn't your right stop, they'll tell you how to get to your right stop. And so it was very, very well organized, even though it was very, very busy. It was also absolutely gorgeous and worth, the effort to do a little research before you get there, because it's a big park. I didn't realize how huge it is.
It's huge. It's amazing.
I was staying at Tenaya Lodge, which is on the south gate of the park. And that's a better gate to go in, because the one on the west side from the San Francisco side, you can have a lot of traffic. But coming in on the south side, there was very little traffic. Of course, I was going after Labor Day, after the big summer rush when the kids go back to school. And so I was very pleased with the fact that I had very little traffic problems driving there or in the park itself. So that was really nice. But Tenaya Lodge and the South Gate is 35 miles from the valley floor where where the main attractions are. So that's an hour's drive on a curvy mountain road. And I didn't realize that. I mean, I didn't realize how just massive this park is.
And 35 miles. I know. You look at a map. I mean, Nancy and I, as we travel,
Mm-hmm.
I got ourselves so messed up in Colorado. I ended up on mountain passes. I didn't even know
So
I was going up
funny.
12,000 feet. I didn't know I was doing all that. But you look at 35 miles and you think, oh, yeah. You know, you can get there in
Yeah.
an hour or
Mm,
like half an hour. And like next
right.
thing you know, 2 hours or an hour later. But that's the thing, Yosemite, the South, you know, I'm really interested about this because you came on the South side. Nancy and I spent a lot of time on the side. We went through Groveland camp, that side, through
Mhm.
Groveland on, you know, going Tuolumne County side that we stayed on. And we've been through
Mhm.
fish camp. We actually came out there. We did spend some time in
Mm-hmm.
Winona, but Wawona. And what's interesting about this too, you stayed in the fish campsite at Tenaya Lodge. And Tenaya, there's a Tenaya Lake, and Tenaya is a prominent name
Mm-hmm.
out there, a Native American
Yeah.
family out there. Also, when you stayed in fish camp, going in there at one point, the Winona, and we've done Wawona, excuse me, I'll keep saying this right. We've done a number of shows on this too, because at one point, this was the main grove of giant sequoias in the national
Right.
park in Yosemite, and it was
Right.
closed off for a while. You
Right.
know, they were doing restorative work and everything. And when we were there, we got to have a glimpse before they closed it down. And now you're there afterwards. So I'm really excited to hear
Right.
about that because that's magic. It's right outside Tenaya Lodge, right? Pretty
Exactly. Well,
close.
see, it turned out that I just spent one full day in the valley. I mean, you go into the valley, you drive through like a mile-long tunnel through granite, which is an engineering feat in itself. And then there's a parking lot just as you enter into the valley, and you must stop there because it gives you the view
Mm-hmm.
that you have seen depicted by Ansel Adams and all of the white mountain landscape artists. And you've seen this picture, you know, a million times somewhere, and it is that way. I mean, it is how you imagined it, how it's depicted, and it really is incredibly beautiful. And the valley is very well worth experiencing.
Oh,
But
yeah.
as I say, it was a 35-mile drive in. So I just spent one full day there. I parked my car and got on the shuttle and went to the Mist Trail, the very first thing, because you want to do the Mist Trail is the most famous trail in the valley, and it takes you up to Vernal and Nevada Falls. And if you be one of these crazy people who climb Half Dome, you veer off on the John Muir Trail, you know, and you head on up. But if you're just a normal person, average fitness, you know, you might stop at Vernal Falls, or you might continue up the 600 steps to get to the base of Nevada Falls. And it is a strenuous hike, but it's so well worth doing, and it's very popular. And so you're going to be sharing it with a lot of other travelers. But it overlooks the Merced River. You've got these gorgeous waterfalls, and in the spring, apparently people just get sprayed. You know, they get soaked from the spray
Mm-hmm.
from these
Yeah.
waterfalls because
Yep.
the water is running so high
Mm-hmm.
from the snow melt that it not only, the waterfalls and the river is just absolutely gorged at that point, but in the spring you can do river rafting on the Merced River, which these waterfalls feed into the Merced. And the Merced snakes all the way through the valley. And I would have liked to have done that. I would have liked to have river rafted through the valley, but
Cool.
that's something
Me
that you
too.
can only do in the spring. I mean, there's
Yeah.
certain activities for each season, which is wonderful.
Right.
That's why I call my piece of park for all seasons,
It is.
because
And I would touch on the rafting. That's one of the top
Mm-hmm.
places in this country. And I think it's in like the
Mm-hmm.
top two or something places, Arkansas River and Merced and Tuolumne River, the top places for whitewater rafting. So if you are into that, that is like spring is it. And it starts, I think like March, April, start really planning at that
hmm
point. It's
right.
huge. It's a huge deal. I'm glad you
Super
brought it up.
cool.
Mhm.
Well, I've done the Tuolumne River like a million years ago. That was like one of the first outdoor adventures I did
Ah,
here in California, and that's a
nice.
pretty wild river. But the Merced is scenic. oh, it is so scenic to go through the valley that way. I just think it would be spectacular. At one point, so I did the big hike in the morning, and you want to do it while it's cool. I was very surprised at how warm it was in September. I was imagining fall, crisp,
No.
70s,
No. Are you
a
from the
perfect
east?
hiking weather. No, try 90.
Yeah,
Try
yeah.
90 degrees in the
Well,
valley.
are you from the east or something that you would expect that? Because we are like, oh no.
We're desert. Well, when we were there, we were there in October, and over Halloween, we were there for
Yeah.
Halloween, and when we went, it was even a week before. It was
Mhm.
snowing, so we had
Ah,
snow, and then we went in
see?
January, and there was less snow, and we went down to Wawona at that point and had fall colors. So you explained that
It's
to me.
like
Ah.
it's just a
It is what
it's
it is.
different every time, but yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
it was you keep mentioning Wawona, and I want to talk about Wawona because
Hmm.
it was only 4 miles from the lodge. And after
Mhm.
my, after my full day in the valley with, lots and lots of excitement and fun and tons of people and everything, I kind of
Mhm.
needed some time on my own. And there's a 3-mile loop at Wawona, which is an
Yeah.
old
Mhm.
hotel that was built in the turn of the century. It's a
Very
wonderful
cool.
old hotel.
Yeah.
And they also have a little pioneer village set up there with
Yeah.
museum stuff. And there's also a horseback riding opportunity there. I didn't take that horseback riding opportunity. I'll tell you about the one that I did take. But you can do this 3.5-mile loop on horseback. But there was no one on this trail, and it was so wonderful to have it all to myself. And the
Cool.
opening picture on your video is the meadow that I walked by, and you will see the leaves were turning. You could see the willows were orange tipped, and it was at higher elevation because the lodge is at 4,000. And I think I'm not sure exactly, the valley floor might be 3, but at any rate, it's cooler as you go up, in the
Yeah.
higher elevation. And so it was more fall-like at Wawona. And I had it all to myself, and it was just so
Cool.
lovely. It was so peaceful,
Wow.
and it was what I needed.
But this is so interesting to
That's
me because
cool.
Fish Camp is kind of like that popular entrance. I know a lot of folks from San Francisco will go through Groveland,
Right.
to get in there. And then there's the other side, but Toyabe, that side they close off because during the winter. So everybody watch that.
Mhm.
If you're coming from the east, there's no, you don't do that mountain pass, but and Lake Tenaya is out there, by the way, and it's beautiful.
Right. I know.
Mm.
I wanted to go to Lake Tenaya because I thought, I'm staying at Tenaya Lodge. I'm going to be
Right.
writing about this. I'm going to go to Tenaya Lake for the namesake, he was a chief, an Indian chief, Tenaya.
Mhm.
So, but you have to drive the Tioga Pass Road. That's another hour of mountainous road driving.
Beautiful.
Plus, I was told it was quite narrow. And also, you're really gaining elevation. The Tenaya Lake is up at about 10,000 feet. Well, I start getting altitude sickness at 9,000 feet, so that's another issue.
Well, Linda,
So
you
I
should have come with
decided-
us to Colorado because I about
No, I know.
fell off a cliff, literally. I thought I was going to die when we went up to 10,000 feet, and I didn't know we were going on a mountain pass, and I'm driving it, and it was too late. I couldn't just stop. I was going to pee in my pants, literally. I'm really bad. I'm bad.
Well,
but I did it.
the altitude does make you want to do that,
Yeah, it does. It's gravity and pressure and
No,
everything.
it makes you get out of the
Fun.
car.
I did do that pass years
it
ago.
makes you
and
get
it's
out of the
cool.
car on your hands and knees.
Well, I have to
vomit.
tell you, I learned. I have a piece in my book, Lost Angel Walkabout. It's called "On Getting an Altitudinal," and I learned when I did a horseback trip in the John Muir Wilderness at 9,000 feet that I was susceptible to altitude sickness.
Oh.
So, and it's not a funny thing to happen.
No, it's
to you,
not.
So now I carry a drug. It's called Diamox. Okay.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a prescription drug.
Really?
So
Wow.
yes. So I carry it because I know I'm susceptible. And like I was planning on going to Tenaya Lake, but it wasn't the altitude that put me off so much because I had the drug, but it was the driving on the Kirby Mountain roads, and I thought, do I want to do that in my short time that I have here? There's so many other wonderful things here for me to explore. I don't have to do that.
Exactly.
So
See,
instead of
there's something for everyone. That's the thing. You talk about this being for all seasons, but national parks make sure that there is something for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a baby being pushed around in a stroller,
right.
if you are in a wheelchair, or you are an athlete. There is something
Right.
for you, and I think that's what's
Well,
beautiful about your article.
especially in the valley floor, because they have all the trails are paved, so you can, stroller that, and up to Yosemite Falls, there were handicapped people, coming up to Yosemite Falls. It was a very easy loop, so you can see things, and also they have the tram that you can take that's guided by the rangers. It's $37, but it's well worth it. I didn't do it because I was happy getting on and off the shuttle, and I felt like I could take care of myself. But people who maybe don't hike as much or whatever, they were popped on the tram, and it looked like it was a lot of fun. There were also activities like movies in the Ansel Adams Gallery that I didn't see, because in one day you're not going to see it all. You need to pick up a newspaper from the Ranger Visitor Center so that you can get keyed in on stuff that would be the most important to you. The one thing I wanted to do was to go to the Arwani Hotel, which of course is a very famous landmark, built in 1927.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, I was reading about it, it was built out of concrete. It's all concrete. They made the concrete look like wood. It looks like it's rock and wood, but it's all concrete because fire was such a threat that they, wanted to make certain that this hotel didn't get burned down. And it was built to entice wealthy Easterners to come out west, and they did too good a job, I'm afraid. I mean, it really worked.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have just a little taste of the Arwani, so I went there and I had a glass of wine, and they're very happy to have you. Yeah, they're very happy to have you come and enjoy their patio and come inside. There was a man playing piano, concert pianist in
Isn't it
the
beautiful?
main hall, which is quite lovely. And it was a real treat. And then I walked across the lawn, which is like a large meadow.
Yes.
And discovered that the Merced River goes right by, and there was no one around but me and this little merganser duck, playing in the water. So I took my boots off and cooled my dogs and had another moment.
You see that?
So the point is this: you can find your moment with the mountain, even though there's people. If that's what you need and that's what you want, you just have to look for it. And I do.
Be in your writing. That's in your writing that we learned when you first came on our show, and in your story now about Yosemite. There's something. We went to the Wani Lodge too. And apparently they have an amazing killer Bloody Mary bar that we didn't do, even though we were there for so long. But I'm like, duh. But that lawn that you're talking about is the first deer experience I had in Yosemite. These beautiful fawns were just munching away on the lawn when we walked in, and we were with Scott Getteman. He's one of the rangers out there, and taking us around, and I'm like, wait, there's deer, and he's like, what? You're going to see so many deer, and we did.
I saw a little baby. I walked when I was coming back to the lodge. A doe went by me within 10 feet with a little spotted fawn behind her, and I thought, "Whoa, what are you doing? It's not springtime,
I know.
But I guess.
Yeah, but I think
they're from Casting Central,
I think they actually give birth 2 times a year now.
Yeah,
maybe they're trying to make up for decimation of their species. I'm going to so get in trouble for that.
Well,
But there you go. I think they,
Dana
but
said
I
they
think
stay in their same
that
lane.
species
Well,
are procreating a little faster these days.
really? Well, that's interesting. Well, not to throw
Mm.
in a negative, but the fact
Yeah.
is that global warming is
Yes.
allowing the spruce bark beetle to have two breeding
Exactly.
cycles in
Right.
1 year, and of course
Mm.
that is
That's
killing billions of trees.
exactly. So, but it's
And
a,
this area is not
yeah,
immune to that, and I don't want
yeah.
to throw
Yeah.
in a neg, but that's the reality
But
that
that
climate
is
change.
true.
True. But I think it's happening
Mhm.
across the board.
And when you go to
Maybe,
these,
All
when you,
over,
maybe not.
all
Yeah,
over.
exactly, because that's what nature does. It doesn't go, let's have a board meeting. It just goes, hey, I'm
Right,
doing this.
I'm going to
And
take care of
right.
my species. And when you go to the
yeah,
parks, and this is on the side of the
we've
parks,
noticed this.
the national parks, when you go into the visitor centers, and I encourage everyone, that's one of the first things to do is go to the visitor
Mm-hmm.
centers. They do talk about what's going on with climate
Mm-hmm.
change, global warming, whatever you want to call it. They talk about how the effects, what are the effects in the park, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
things like you talk about in your article, I think is so great. Shuttle buses, that Tenaya Lodge puts things together for you too as a visitor, so we don't have 20,000 more cars going into Yosemite.
Right,
There's a balance, and
right.
I love that about the all seasons, because we've been there in winter, and let me tell
Mm-hmm.
you,
Oh,
it
it's
is
so
one of the
cool.
most magical experiences
It's
I
so
have ever
awesome.
had in my life. I've been there in the summer, I've been there in the spring, I've been there in the fall, which is really
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Um, and the winter was this pristine,
Magical.
quiet, calm, magic. I can't even tell you. It is
Well,
so
well,
beautiful,
Tenaya
magical.
Lodge, yeah, I would like to be at Tenaya in the winter because they
Me
put up a
too.
100-foot Christmas tree. They, to say they deck the halls is putting it mildly.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Yeah,
just a lot. It's very
cool.
festive. They have, a wonderful feast and, music and dancing for
Mm.
New Year's Eve. They have horse sleigh rides, and they even have an ice skating
Yeah, yeah.
pond that they freeze over. I mean, they really do it up big for Christmas. I mean,
That's
and
a
it's a really nice
beautiful
place.
place.
If you have an extended family situation, it's a really nice place, and they have
Don't cook.
created.
Just go to Yosemite and go to Tenaya
Yes,
Lodge. Who wants to
that's
cook at
right.
that point,
That's
right?
No,
right.
it truly is a beautiful, magical place. There's
And
no no
they
doubt.
wanted people to know that they have these new explorer cabins. So if you don't like staying in a
Hmm.
hotel situation, they have
No.
these new
Mm-hmm.
cabins. They're 2-bedroom cabins that
Cool.
back to a river or creek, not a river, water.
Mm.
Yeah,
And so you wake up to bird song and
awesome.
pine tree smells
Oh,
instead of
that's my style.
being a hotel, which is a little bit insular.
Yeah.
So they wanted to do something a little closer to nature, and so they've just opened that up this year.
Oh,
So
That's awesome.
the other thing about Tenaya Lodge is this: it's just around the corner from the Mariposa Grove, which you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and that was wonderful. And they also, what they've done there is you park your car, and they have a shuttle that takes you in, so you don't have any automobile noise or
mm.
fumes or any of it while you're in this lovely, tranquil cathedral of these giant trees
Mm-hmm.
that have survived. There's what they call the grizzly bear loop, and so you get to the grizzly bear, and he is like 2,700 years old, and you can't help but be humbled by them.
Mm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
can't help but sort of imagine, these trees were here when the Egyptians were building their pyramids.
Wow, good
I
point.
mean,
Good point. Good. Whoa, good point.
See, I see
so
dinosaurs. They were there when
well,
the
I don't know if they go.
dinosaurs.
Well, there were dinosaurs, but I don't know if they go back that far. But they do go back
Yeah, way back when.
long enough to contemplate, and
I
they
believe
are in.
I believe
They're in
dinosaurs
jeopardy
roamed
because
through
of.
there.
They
Weird.
did. I mean, there's dinosaur bones all over, especially in
Yeah,
Colorado and
exactly.
Montana. There was many
Yeah,
dinosaurs.
We saw petrified redwoods in Florissant Fossil Beds National
right.
Monument in Colorado. So so
We
you have the
know.
redwoods there, and we're like, redwoods in Colorado? What? We didn't know that when we were in Yosemite and Sequoias, But we learned that, and then our national park system, it's so amazing. But
Mhm.
yeah, when you're talking about this, they're so ancient, and these are
Mm-hmm.
the sequoias used to be actually more prevalent across the country, but now you can only see the live ones in the Sierra Nevada
Right.
range, from Yosemite
Right.
down to sequoias. So to be able to experience this and to be able to do it, and where you were is the easiest access.
It is. It really is. So, uh, it's like a temple in there, and not a lot of people, because most of the people are there for a short amount of time, and so they hang in the valley because that's where, as I mentioned, most of the action is. But it was so nice. It was so nice to be walking in
Wow.
there, and then of course there's Glacier Point, which is also closer to the lodge than it is to the valley. Did you go to Glacier Point? I'm sure
Yes,
you did.
we did in the
Yes.
winter, and we went. It
Mm-hmm.
snowed,
That was too
and
much
it was
fun.
snowy. And actually, it's a place where people they used to have like a hotel or something at one point there years ago, and
But it burned, yeah.
it burned down. But
Yes.
and so when we were up there, it was interesting because it's a really popular spot, but
Mhm.
a magical drive. We actually saw, like, to this day, I don't know if it was a coyote or a wolf, and it sounds weird because everybody will tell me it's not a wolf, but it was so dark, it was almost black.
Mm-hmm.
It was charcoal color. I couldn't get the camera fast enough because we were driving, and it was it was full it was all snowed in. But
It was a
this
wolf.
I still like, I'm still tripping out over this experience at Glacier Point. And Glacier
Well, I'm
Point
still
was still, I mean, Glacier Point, you see, like, this is valley. It's like the Grand Canyon of Yosemite, right? With granite
I was
rock.
going to say, I think of all the things that I
Mm.
saw there, that was the most inspirational or mind blowing,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm.
immenseness of it. And you could see Half Dome and North Dome. And by
Mm.
the way, the valley is Tenaya Valley. So I didn't have to get to Tenaya Lake.
Ah, I
I saw Tenaya Valley.
that's
And
a good memory. Yeah.
but it was like mountains to eternity. And the immutability of it is what really struck me. And I hung out up there for quite a while, and I took a little jaunt on what was called the Panorama Trail, which
Mm.
gave you, hung on the rim, and you had some really nice views and some, meditation times if you wanted to
Yeah.
take the time.
Oh, that's nice. I love that you do
Uh,
that because I did that in the Grand Canyon. I sat out there. Nancy went down from the
Mm-hmm.
north rim of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
So the North Rim is like a trippy, cool. I encourage people to do the North Rim other than the South Rim. I haven't done the South Rim, but that's the touristy part,
Well,
right?
I did. I have to admit, on some points, I'm
She
doing on
got
my
on her hands
hands and knees
down the
because
trail.
I got no, because there were kids. No, there were kids running, and I was like, "Where are your parents? Why aren't they?"
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, it makes you
it was
nervous. It makes you
freaky.
nervous.
Yeah, and I was
The
like,
kids.
"Dude, yeah."
Yeah.
I
So
was
she's
like,
like on her
"Dude."
hands and knees. I'm like, I'm sitting at the top, and I just sat on this bench and meditated with the Grand Canyon in my mind. I'm like, and then we had a
Mm,
glass of wine. That's what I loved about you saying you had your
exactly.
glass of wine. There's like something about, to me, a glass of wine with a setting in a national park, you can't beat it. But
Hmm.
Glacier Point, I didn't do that. But you were talking about, you're sitting out on that edge. When you're
Mm,
talking about the mountain passes, do you get nervous going out on the edge like that, overlooking a canyon?
mm.
Well, I had a little bit of vertigo going on.
Yeah,
So to
yeah.
Yeah.
so to conquer my vertigo, no, I had this, and I didn't get up on the second floor of the Eiffel Tower. Okay, I have a
Mm,
little bit of
okay.
vertigo going on.
Mm-hmm.
So this was something I wanted to conquer because I wanted to face my fear because it was limiting me.
Mm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
drove by myself the Beartooth Highway, which is
Mm-hmm.
touted as the most scenic byway in America, and it well may be, but it's also takes you up to about 12,000 feet. When you
Yeah.
step out, it's like you're
Mhm.
stepping outside of a plane, a low-flying
Mm-hmm.
plane, and you're walking on tundra heads,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean,
Yeah.
if I can do that, I can do anything, and I
Mm.
did. But before we part, I want to say that the Horse Trails Company, which is only a mile south of the lodge and is in the Sierra National Forest, it's not in the Yosemite Park, but it's just
Mm-hmm.
outside of it, is wonderful. I just had a 2-hour ride in there, but it was
Oh,
so
wow.
great. They take you across streams, like 4 stream
Cool.
crossings, and you wind up to the top of Vista Ridge, and you have these, views forever, and no people, no signs. It's a roadless wilderness. It's
Cool.
even more,
Oh,
Awesome.
even
beautiful.
even quieter than Wawona. I mean, even
Awesome.
more remote and more out there. And if you're the kind of person like I am who seeks nature, connection with
Mhm.
nature. Oh, it was really special, and I loved it. And I wanted to
Mm,
do a full day, but it wasn't available to me in
mm.
my
Mhm.
time
This
frame.
is
They were
amazing.
closed.
I want to give everyone a background of this because you know horses. That's your
Yeah.
background. And so,
Cool.
Nancy and I are very picky about, horses and getting on a trail ride. We've had some where you think like, hello, can you feed your horses? Can you take care of their hooves? And
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're, when you go out on vacation, sometimes you'll just get on a horse and think everything's fine if you do not know horses. And
well, I want to tell you, these
yeah,
animals are very fit, very
Cool.
well trained.
Awesome.
They're in lovely condition. They give you a little
Awesome.
safety thing before you go. If you can sit in a rocking chair, you can ride these horses.
wow.
And they,
Mhm.
these horses know this trail inside and out, and you just don't interfere with their movements, and you'll be fine. And these
Ah,
trails are pretty tricky, but
yeah,
because you are climbing and you are
Yeah.
crossing water. But you just need to, there's just a few key
trust the
things, and
horse.
they will go. That's right. And don't get panicky. Don't interfere with your horse is the key when you're on these kinds of rides. Now, I am a horse person. I've owned
Mm,
my own horse, and I used to jump and do all that crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But now I just
Okay.
love a trail ride, and I do care that these animals are in good shape and well
yeah.
taken care of. I won't ride, like, for instance, down in Mexico where they
Mm-hmm.
do not take care of their animals.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
bothers
Yeah.
me, and I just won't do it.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, no, these people, this outfit, I just can't recommend them highly enough.
Oh, good. I'm glad because I had to bring that up because, there's
Yeah. We've
situations
seen
across
things.
in this country, even with sleigh rides, and I know there's sleigh rides, right? Tenaya Lodge is part
Hmm.
of that too. So there's this
Right,
important thing that we look at what we do as a traveler, and I'm glad that you physically did that, so we can say that that's okay because I know you
right.
know
And
horses and
and by the way, I was told that they no longer offer horse rides in the valley because the
Mhm.
horses are a little hard on the trails, and
Mm.
Yeah,
for the maintenance of the
Yeah.
trails. And
yeah,
I think also probably it was a liability thing that
yeah.
always goes along with horse rides.
Well, that's
Right.
And
that's the balance of the national forest working together with the national park system, where the forest kind of goes, okay, you can do this. It's that buffer zone outside of the park
mhm,
where you can do things. It's more
But there,
right,
recreational.
there's a huge liability if you put a person on a horse that
right,
doesn't know or understand
Mhm.
horses,
right,
and they really do weird things when they don't know or understand horses. We've watched it
right.
over and over
And you
again,
have to trust the horse, and I think it's a
and
good
yeah,
experience for people
I
to
mean,
learn.
but they'll, I think they just play bonanza and kick the horse in the
Mm,
girth and think, let's gallop, and they do really. We've seen all of that, so
Mhm.
I get that, where things like we can't do this anymore, not because of the horse, not because of the terrain. It's mostly because of the person
The people.
riding the horse.
Yeah,
About the
right.
people
Yeah,
behaving.
just
crazy.
follow the
Behaving
horse.
silly. Well, they behave silly. They're not dressed appropriately. I
Yeah,
mean, and
Yeah,
no, it's
that goes
true.
for the hiking too. I
yeah.
mean, you
Yeah.
see people
Don't
out
go in
there in the
flip
flip
flops.
flop.
We've
They
seen
do
people hiking in flip flops, or
in the
whatever you call
desert.
them, thongs, flip
The
flops, and
flip
we're
flops
like,
in the
what?
desert. No,
Yeah, we're like, really?
this is
I
in the
mean,
in the middle of
really?
summer in the high desert in the low desert of southern Arizona. People in flip flops getting out of their car thinking we can hike, and I'm like, no, there's snakes,
It's
there's
like,
tarantulas, there's
really?
the tarantulas aren't going to hurt you, but the snakes will. No, it's just not a good idea. but so there is, and this is the
Yeah.
education part of this
It's
conversation.
personal
If
responsibility.
you get on a
for-
horse, let the horse lead, and let the
It-
person leading the horse being there, they know what they're doing. And when you get on a trail, put some boots, put some sneakers,
Yeah,
like something
you
like
have to
that on,
have.
unless
You're
you really
supposed to have
know.
a heel boot. Yeah, you're
Some
supposed to have
people
a
know how to
boot with a
barefoot hike.
heel.
There are
Dress,
people,
Yeah.
I have
dress
friends who are barefoot
accordingly.
hikers. I know I have friends who are barefoot hikers that really know what they're doing. So unless you're one of those,
Yeah, but that's a real
don't.
small segment of
Yeah.
population.
But
Like
anyway,
maybe 10 people.
anyway, Tenaya Lodge. I want to everyone go to tenayalodge.com. Check this
That's
out.
beautiful.
I was
It's
looking at their
beautiful.
website today. Tenaya Lodge. It's TENAYA. TenayaLodge.com. I was looking at it,
Beautiful.
and I'm like, dude, I want one of those cabins. I want to look out and have my coffee out on the
Mhm.
balcony,
They're
and
beautiful.
you know, overlooking the
Beautiful.
creek. Are you kidding me? Yes. And I love the fact that you went from that side. Again, I
Mhm.
said that at the beginning of the conversation. We never stayed in fish camp. We went to Wawona at the end of our journey. We went to the
Mhm.
Mariposa Grove, and we went on a trail. We went to the Pioneer Village that you were talking about, and I couldn't believe, like what you're telling me, I couldn't believe how quiet it was, because I thought
Mhm.
this is such the easiest entrance, right? This is got to be
Mhm.
the most popular entrance, and I couldn't believe we had the same experience that you had in that we're on our own. It's
Uh-huh.
quiet, and that old
Right.
lodge, and you could see the rocking chairs. I could see the rocking chairs overlooking the meadow, and I'm like, dude, like, hello. And then Tenaya Lodge on the other side. I haven't been there, but I know it's a new venue, a new destination. So everyone check them out. But everyone, Yosemite is cool, and this kind of conversation is important because you want to have the best time you have. When Linda said at the beginning of this conversation is do your homework, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's one of the most popular parks in our system. It is one of the first parks that is put on the map. Thank you to wonderful artists. Um, and so you really do want to check it out before you go so that you can get the most out of your experience. And I
For
think you've
sure.
given us a lot of good information. So thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you for having me. It's always fun,
Yeah,
and I
it's good.
love talking to you. So
You too. Everybody, again, Linda's article, Yosemite, A Park for All Seasons, is up on nationalparktraveling.com right now. It'll be featured in the November issue of Parks and Travel magazine, and you can get that. Just go to nationalparktraveling.com. Sign up for our newsletter. It's the best way. It comes out once a week. And also bigblendradio.com to keep up with our shows. That's the best way to do that. I do want to encourage you to go to Linda's website, lindaballouauthor.com, and keep up with her because she's got all kinds of adventures, and we're excited. She'll be back on our show next to talk about her book. You're going to be talking about your walkabout, and now I'm excited
right.
about that. Walkabout is one of my favorite words. It's one of my favorite things in life, so very excited about that. But Linda, before you go, where's your next destination?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go to Hawaii in November.
Oh,
Hawaii is kind of
cool.
like old home week for me. Yeah. I mean, I lived on the North Shore of Kauai for 1 year when I was 28. It was the most blissful year of my life, and I
Cool.
just need an aloha fix, folks.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
I'm doing a week. It's just like vacation.
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
period. End of story. And then after that, in 2020, I'm going to Australia, and that's going to be a huge
Ooh.
adventure.
That's a
And
real
you'll be
walkabout.
hearing about that one.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
the true walkabout land, right?
Yeah,
And now
that's
that's
a
what
It is.
walkabout.
I have music all lined up for all these adventures. And today we've got a song. It's called Fall Winter. And it's from a band, Yagul. Yagul. They made up their name. It's from Seagull and something else and a guitar name or something. But they're an amazing band. They came on our show, Yagul. And you can go to yagul.com. It's YAGULL.com. And it's off of their album Yuna, Yuna. Amazing duo. And Fall Winter, I wanted to play this because I want people to know that Yosemite, as you share in your article, you can go spring, summer, beautiful. Fall and winter in Yosemite is probably really true magic. Go. And so here it is. Thank you so much for joining us, Linda.
Thank you, Lisa. Bye-bye, Nancy.
Bye. Take care, man.